Hello and welcome to the Old Camera Guy live stream. We're here to unbox a huge box of film. There we are. I'm not kidding. This is 16 pounds of film. And I have absolutely zero or no idea what's inside. So we're going to find out. The backstory is this. Got a message recently from fellow photographer Tony Blackwell, who is Tony B2760 here on YouTube. He doesn't really post videos so much. He more consumes it, but he's commented on a bunch of my videos, maybe some of yours too. But Tony reached out recently and said, you know what? I want to downsize my film and film camera collection, which he's doing. He's cutting back to, I think, maybe just one film camera, some digital gear. But as part of that, he said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and offer you, if you want some film, I'll send it to you free of charge, no catch. I'll even pay the shipping. And that's the kind of guy Tony is. He actually sent me this enormous box of film. Now, he did not tell me about any of the film inside, so I have zero idea. So I'm going to find out right now when you do. We're going to check out that Bonnie right now, David. So let's get right into it. So I've got my handy dandy knife. Please follow safety protocol. And we're going to go ahead and just bust this open right now. So this is the big reveal. And again, careful here. So if you're just joining again, this is a huge box of film from photographer Tony Blackwell. Sent it to me just because, again, he's getting rid of a lot of his film gear along with a lot of his films. So he graciously sent it to me. So 200 rolls of Ektar is howdy, it's David's prediction. We'll see if you're right, Dave. All right, got a bunch of packing here. We're going to unload all of this. Oh man. Oh man. All right, you got to see this. Look at what I'm greeted with here. Take a look. I mean, that is just a treasure trove of film. Look at all that. Wow. Thanks again, Tony. Let's dig in and see what we got. First one, right off the bat, we got some Cinesto 800T in 120. Perfect for my Pentax 6.7, maybe in one of my Holgas or one of my lo-fi medium format cameras. It takes 120. Awesome. We're off to a good start. See another roll of 120 here on the opposite end of the spectrum. This is Ilford Pan F Plus, also again in 120. This one, I say opposite end of the spectrum because it's black and white instead of color like Cinesto. And instead of being 800 speed, it is 50 speed. So nice low speed film. Should have some nice fine grain. Looking forward to that one too. I think I've only shot this film stock, I think only once that I remember. Got some more 120 here. Another roll of Ilford Pan F Plus, black and white film, Harman technology. We've already got 3 rolls of film here I've dug into. Let's find another one. Here we go again. Ilford Pan F Plus 50 ISO. Again, looking forward to shooting that. Pentax 6.7. I'm going to dig out some more of this 120 because I see more of it here. Tons of it here. We're up to 4 rolls of film. This is roll number 5. Ilford Pan F Plus again. Another roll of that as well. Look at this. This is good stuff. And I like having more than one roll of this because if I screw up the first 1 or 2 rolls, I've got some spares to kind of back myself up on and get something good out of. And again, I recommend that too. Anytime you try a new stock, maybe not just get 1 roll, but maybe have a couple rolls if you can afford it, of course. And the beauty of this is this didn't cost me a penny. So again, huge thanks to Mr. Tony Blackwell again. Got some more 120 in here. Got some Kodak here. All right. Howdy, it's David. I see your comment there. 200 rolls of Ektar. Well, we're going to start with 1 roll of Ektar right here in 120. beautiful film stock, really accentuates those reds. They really pop. Great saturation. This one says expires in July of 2019. But remember, when you have lower speed film like this, 100 speed, it's not going to degrade as fast as higher speed film. So if you've got a really high speed film, 400, 800, obviously 3200, that can degrade a little bit quicker over time as far as it's if it's expired. But 100 speed film like this should still be real good. So I'm looking forward to shooting that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's roll number 7 already. So we got 7 rolls of film, and we're not done. We're not even scratching the surface here. Got another one here. This is 120. This is Arista EDU. This is their Ultra 100 speed. And this is one I have not shot a lot of. I've shot the 400 speed brother, but not so much this one. So I'm looking forward to checking out the 100 speed again. You're going to expect a little bit finer grain with that than what you would get with the 400 speed. So looking forward to shooting that one as well. That one looks like it expires 2022. So that's actually pretty fresh too. And again, lower speed being 100 speed rather than the 400. It's not going to degrade as quickly, especially in black and white. So that should shoot just like fresh film. I won't have to adjust the ISO at all. I'm going to shoot it right at 100 and see what we get. Let's take a look here. We're going to grab another roll here. Oh, wow. This is one I have not actually shot yet. I have a roll of this in 35 millimeter. I do not have it in 120. At least I didn't until right now. So this is Ilford Ortho Plus. This is orthochromatic film. And that should look pretty cool. I can't wait to shoot that one because it doesn't see all the spectrum, visible spectrum. So that's going to be a fun one. Really looking forward to shooting that one. Let's find a couple more rolls of 120. Oh boy. Excited about this one. Kodak Portra 160 in 120 or medium format. This one expired in May of 2022. So again, being 160 film, 160 ISO, not really that old, a couple years old. So that should shoot very well. This would be beautiful for portraits in my Pentax 6.7, as long as I don't mess up the focus. That 6.7, and when you use that f 2.4 105 lens, it's great for portraits if you know the focus. Again, if you don't know the focus, it doesn't look so hot. So that's on me, not the film. So I think I'm going to save this for the 6.7 and try to get some really nice portraits of my wife, maybe my kids, something like that. So that'd be a fun one. Got more of the 120 here. We've got Fomapan 100. That classic packaging there looks pretty cool. So this one, again, I have not shot a ton of Fomapan in 100. I've shot a ton of the 400, not so much the 100. So this will be a fun new experience for me as well. So looking forward to shooting that one. Looks like we got an expiration date on this one of April of 2023. So that's not old at all. Just now, about 2 years expired. Again, lower speed, black and white, should shoot very well. I'm expecting good things from this roll too. Let's take a look at another one we got here. More. Oh, another roll of that Ilford Ortho Plus right here. So this one, again, orthochromatic. Didn't mention this before. It is rated at 80 ISO. So that should be good today. Tony is chiming in here. And you see his comment on the screen there. And can't wait to see some of the images you produce with the film. I hope you enjoy shooting it. And I guarantee you I will definitely enjoy shooting it. So shout out to Mr. Tony Blackwell chiming in here. Again, I can't get over just the 120 film you sent me is amazing. And I've got a ton of 35 millimeter, as you know, because you packed it and sent it off to me very graciously. So again, huge thanks, Tony. Really appreciate it. We got R.D. Bloomfield says he says they love Ortho Plus, and I'm looking forward to shooting. Like I said, I've never shot it before. I know I'm gonna get some really unique results with that one. So can't wait to see that. Howdy, it's David. Shout out to Tony. Well deserved. Rafael Morales has a heart. Hearts are right back. Got another roll of Cinestill 800T. Love shooting this at night. Love shooting neons in this. I think everybody does. Gas stations, of course. So that one, go good with that other roll. Fantastic. I got a couple more. Oh boy, a couple more of these 120s. This Fuji Acros. This is 102. This is the newer version. After they discontinued the original one, they came back and did this one. So this one expired in October of 2021. And if you have not shot Fuji Acros before, this is a beautiful film. Talk about portraits. For this one, it's just silky smooth. Puts you a little bit in the mind of like a Kodak T-Max. So again, very fine, lovely, smooth grain. Probably my favorite film for portraits. I got a roll of it now. Or should I say I've got two rolls of it now, because here's another one right here. Same expiration date. Gorgeous stuff. And I'm trying to think if I've ever shot at 120 in my Pentax 6.7, and I don't think I have. So I can't wait for that opportunity. Again, more portraits of my wife and kids. And I've got some portrait shoots coming up here with some friends, so might have to bust this out for that too. Let's take a look at what else we got here. Did I show you this box? Let me show you this box again. We've already pulled out about a dozen rolls. Just scratching the surface. Can you, Tony? Again, I can't get over it. Oh, here's one that doesn't get a lot of love, and I think it really should. Kodak Pro Image 100. Beautiful, a little bit lower speed, 100 speed film. This one says expiration date is May of 2022. So again, a couple years old, almost 3 years old. But again, being that lower speed, I expect that I should have not any trouble shooting this. If you have any question, it doesn't hurt sometimes to overexpose film, even if it's fresh color film. Some people do like to overexpose a little bit. So if I don't shoot this at 100, I might shoot it maybe at maybe 80, something like that. I don't really want to overdo it. 80, maybe 64 at the most, but I wouldn't shoot any more than that because, again, this is barely expired stuff here. Jim Gray's. Does that box of goodies have any APS film in there? Haven't come across it yet, but I know our friend Mike Gutterman would say it's the taking the world by storm. It's the latest craze in film photography. That's debatable. I did shoot a little bit APS back in the day. For those of you who don't remember what it was, or maybe just not an old fart like me and don't remember it, APS was interesting because it came in this little canister thing, and you could vary on the roll. It had like 3 different formats, C, H, and P. And I don't remember exactly what those stand for, other than I think the P does stand for panoramic. So depending on how you shot it in your camera, you could get different kind of prints, different aspect ratios on the same roll. And it was one that was kind of idiot proof, even for me. And in that, it was just basically you put the cartridge in, you didn't really have to, take the film out and spread it over. So it was all the rage for, I don't know, a few years. This goes back a while. Nobody, to my knowledge, is making new APS film right now. So any APS film you find now is pretty much long expired. So it's one of those that, if you don't mind shooting expired film, like I obviously don't mind it. APS cameras, you can find them dirt cheap because nobody really wants them. So maybe a little bit harder to find a place that develops them, especially if you don't develop your own. And if you do develop your own, you need to have your own reel for it because it's a little bit different size, a little bit smaller than 35 millimeter. But again, we'll see. See what else we got here. This is a classic. Kodak Ultramex, a good, solid workhorse film. You won't be disappointed. You know what you're going to get with this one. Good, solid color reproduction. And it just flat out works. 400 speed. This is a 24 exposure roll. I kind of like that because it's easier to get through some 24s than it might be for a roll of 36. I like to use these sometimes if I'm testing out a camera because a little shorter roll I can get through quicker and get that not quite instant feedback, but a little bit quicker than if I have to shoot a roll of 36. So 24 exposure roll, Ultramex, that's a winner there. Raphael remembers APS, never really used it. Shot disc film. That goes back a few years too. Disc film definitely didn't really catch on. I mean, maybe for a short time, but the issue with disc film was the images were so small. I mean, it was smaller than 110 is my recollection. So 110 small enough, so you can't take that and expand it very much or get real big prints out of it. But Yeah, that's one of those that disc film is kind of the one that only a mother can love. I don't think there's a lot of love out there for disc film. I'm going to put up a comment from Tony here. It says the Cinestone may possibly be from the batch that was wound backward. I was refunded for the order, so that may or may not be one of those. I guess I'll find it out when I try shooting it, huh? And that's part of the fun of film photography. If you know exactly what you're going to get, that sometimes takes some of the fun out of it. If you're doing that, you might as well shoot digital. And I've told people before, I was on a couple podcasts recently that I do like to shoot digital. I shoot digital, fairly often, especially just with my phone. I like shooting it on my phone. But again, that's part of the fun of film photography. You don't always know exactly what you're going to get. Let's dig into some more of this. Well, I'm going to just hold up a bunch of these. Look at this. Kodak Ultramax. Kodak Ultramax. 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 Look at all this Kodak film. These again are the 24 exposures, all expiring. It looks like, I think, around that 2022 mark. So again, in my mind, that's pretty much like fresh film there, because again, it's only a couple years old. So that should shoot just fine. Ultramax, Ultramax. Run out of space on my desk here. Ultramax, Ultramax. Look at that. Ton of that. I think we got another one here. And again, looks like about the same lot. So this one expires in March of 2022. Another 24 exposure roll. So again, we'll shoot through these very well, very quickly. Great film. Love it. If you haven't shot Kodak Ultramax, although if you're watching this channel, you probably have, because that's, again, such a classic workhorse color film. It's one that, you can go to the drugstore a lot of times to still find Ultramax. I was just at Walgreens, actually, just last night, and they did, in fact, have Ultramax in stock. So it's classic for a reason, right? Now, we got some Fuji film. Look at this. This is a multi-pack here. There's 4 of these in here, and this is another one that's 24 exposures. So great for testing out cameras. This one is expiring, or did expire, in April of 2019. This now being April 1st, April Fool's Day 2025. We're looking about 6 years ago. But again, being 200 speed, since it's not 400 speed or faster, probably has not degraded as much as what a faster film would. So 200 speed should shoot pretty good on this one. So I'm looking forward to shooting that. And again, a lot of this, as I'm sure everybody watching this knows, some of it depends on how it's stored. Film that is cold stored generally is going to hold up better than film that is not. Sometimes you don't always know the provenance or where it came from. Of course, I know where this came from. It came from Tony, and Tony, I think, knows how to take care of his film, so I've got high hopes for that. But again, 4-pack of this, good, really good. We got another 4-pack of film here. This is a 3-pack actually, and this one is Kodak Ultramax. This is a little more vintage here. A couple differences in this one. This is labeled with Kodak Ultramax. Look at the detail though. 800 speed, right? Now, this one, since it is older, it says expires in September 2011. This might shoot more like 400 speed, maybe even 200 speed. So I wouldn't probably mind, since it's a little bit faster speed. I probably will go ahead and shoot this at a different ISO. I'm not going to shoot it at 800, maybe 400, maybe 320. I shoot a lot of the Canon Rebel cameras, and with Canon Rebels, those they have a setting for 320, so you don't have to go. It doesn't go from 400 straight to 200. It has a setting for 320, it has a setting for 250, so you can really vary it. So this might be a good candidate to maybe shoot maybe a little over stop, maybe 320. I like it. Let's see what else we have here. Raphael says, shot 12 rolls of Ultramax on the Kodak H35N half frame last week. It was fun. Super fun camera. I was lucky enough to get in on the first wave of that camera and got a pre-production model, and had a fun time shooting it. And as long as you know what you're getting into, it's not going to give you results like the Pentax 17 that has a glass lens and super fancy, and it's got different settings on it that you can adjust. The Kodak Ektar H35N half frame is going to give you pretty low fire results, but again, that's the whole point of it. Now, I didn't mention this before, but now you bring it up, Raf. It's nice to take a 24 exposure roll and stick it in one of those half frame cameras, because this way you got 48 shots instead of slogging all the way through 72 shots like you'd have to with a roll of 36. So that's another a case where those 24 exposure rolls are going to come in handy, because I do have a bunch of half frame cameras like those little H35s, H35Ns. So yeah, should be good use for that. Tony's got a comment here again. I'll bring up, and this is great information. Tony says all the film was kept refrigerated, not frozen, but refrigerated until I packed it for shipping to you, and that again makes all the difference in the world. And again, Tony being a pro guy and a sharp photographer, I kind of assumed as much, but you don't want to always assume. But it has been confirmed. Tony did take very good care of this film. So again, especially the ones that are only a couple years old, they're going to shoot like new. So appreciate you, Tony. Let's see what else you got in the box here. Here's a roll not in the box. Let me check out what this is. Kind of curious about this one. We have a roll of Fomapan 200. And again, this is a 24 exposure roll, a little bit easier to shoot through. So we'll enjoy shooting that. I got to move some of this film around. This is what I think can be referred to as an embarrassment of riches. There's so much film here, and again, there's so much to go. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch us here. Here's another roll of 120 I didn't see before. Now this one is one I've shot before and love. This is Arista EDU 400. Now I used the 35mm version of this for the Frugal Film project. I've done that I think more than 1 year actually, because this is a good basic kind of a budget film, but I really like the results I get with it. It's got good contrast. It's got grain, but the grain is not insane. So it's good stuff. So I'm looking forward to shooting this again. This one might be good in the Holga. It's got the Holga again has lo-fi look, but the grain of this, they really go well together. And if you develop it in something like a D96 developer, it looks like super good. Although right now I just have HC110. But HC110, can I just sing the praises of that? I mean, it is so easy to use. The new version, I say new, but it's been several years now. The old version was the kind of a thick syrup, and it was harder to stir up, and you had to take a syringe, and it just, it looked like you were running a meth lab. I mean, it was just, with this, you know, you stir it up. It's relatively thin, and it mixes very well, very easily with water. So I like the new version a lot better. Again, new in quotation marks, right? Let's got another roll of film here. This one is not in the box, but this is, this is kind of sought after right now. This is Fuji Color Superior Extra 400. Now, this is not the same Fuji 400 you're going to find at your Meijer or Walmart if they carry it, if you're lucky enough that local stores carry it for you. 24 exposure rolls, but this is the real deal, the Fuji Superior Extra 400. And they always title that with the 4 layers of emulsion, whatever that means. But this stuff's getting harder to find. Fuji, I don't think he's going to make any more of it, because Fuji, well, Fuji is Fuji. But that's good stuff there. 24 exposure roll. Love it. Thanks again, Tony. We got another one here I referenced before. This is Kodak 100. This is T-Max 100. Finest grain. I mentioned this when I talked about the Acros film. If you want fine grain, smooth portraits, can't get too much better than T-Max. It is the real deal for portraits. It's just outstanding. Of course, you don't have to use it for portraits. You can use it for anything you want to. You can use it for landscapes and all sorts of things. But I just think it's particularly well suited to portraits. It does have T grain. It's not a cubic grain. It's T grain, so you have to treat it a little bit differently as far as developing is concerned. This one expired in August of 2022, so 2 years and change ago. And again, being 100 speed black and white, should hold up pretty well. Lovely film. Beautiful film. I'm going to grab a couple more of those because I see a couple right off the top of the box here. So we've got a couple more T-Maxes here. This one's from 2021. This one is from August 2022. So again, super great portrait film. This is a 24. That's a 24 as well. So a couple rolls of those and you're good for a portrait session. At least the way I shoot, I would be 48 shots. Perfect. Along those lines, T-Max, this one expired in February of 2021. This one, another roll of 100 speed T-Max, August of 2022. See that there? I'm going to start putting some of this film over here. I'm not kidding. I'm running out of room. That's how much film is here. I'll have to do a final tally once I'm done here to see exactly how much film I have. But it's pretty amazing. And again, I don't mean to, it's just, I'm just a little bit overwhelmed at this point by Tony's generosity. So thank you, Tony. We got another roll of T-Max here, again, August 2022. And another one here, and this one is also from that same lot or batch, I think, from August of 2022, at least same time frame. And now to mix things up a little bit, shake it up, we got T-Max again. This is the 400 speed stuff. So if you want a little extra speed, but you still don't want a real chunky, big grain or real obvious grain, T-Max is the way to go. World's sharpest says right there. And again, this one is even a little bit newer. This one's actually expired in August of 2023. So that's, again, I almost don't even want to call it expired. That's how recent and fresh it is, especially, again, the way I shoot film, because I've shot film that's been a lot older than that. I just shot a couple rolls from Nick Lepresti, and that was from 1952, so 73 years old. That was a different experience. I kind of botched the development on the first roll because I cooked it at too high of a temperature. Basically, I think it was like 78 degrees, which is a big mistake. I had crazy big, huge giraffe reticulation, which honestly was kind of a good look. I sort of liked it. It was kind of neat, but the second roll looked much more conventional, and I was pretty happy with that. And again, T-Max 400, also from 2023, so practically fresh stuff there. And along those lines, another one here. This one's just a touch older. This one is from May of 2021. This is another 24 exposure roll. So a great for testing cameras, or again, a lot of times I like shooting 2 rolls of 24 rather than 2 rolls of 36, because again, it's easier to get through 48 shots than it is 72 shots if I'm out shooting about, especially like I mentioned before, if you're using a half frame camera. Got a comment from Artie Bloomfield again. I'm going to pop that up here. Says, actually just picked up an A1 program for Steal the other day, Facebook Marketplace, and had some Ilford FP4 125. And FP4 is another solid stock. I think it kind of doesn't get a lot of love because most people that shoot Ilford, they just gravitate towards HP5, which I'm guilty of that too. Living in Ohio, we don't always have enough sun to shoot 125 speed film or 50 speed film like that Pan F Plus we were looking at before. But on sunny days, that kind of stuff's great. So Ilford FP4, the 125, again, pretty fine grain. I've shot it a handful of times, and I think you're going to like that. I think you're going to enjoy that. So have fun shooting that one. We got a comment too from Old Radios. Checking in, says I shot some 620 film that expired in 1975 with a Brownie Flashmite. Wow, that's a whole lot of classic stuff going on there. So 620 film is fun. Most of you are watching this, I think, already know that the size of 620 film, the actual film part is the same. The spools are a little bit different. So you can't necessarily, same as 120, I should mention. You can't just take a 620 roll of film and always jam it into a 120 camera, or vice versa. But what I've had success doing is with my Brownie Hawkeye. So not the Flashmite, but the Brownie Hawkeye. Classic one. I mean, there's tons of those cameras out there, and you can get them for dirt cheap. But as long as I have a 620 take-up spool, like an empty take-up spool, I can usually gently cram a roll of 120 into that Brownie and get surprisingly decent results. So again, not every Brownie Hawkeye can accommodate that. Brownie Flashmite, I don't know, may or may not. I don't know. Your mileage may vary on that one. But yeah, 620 film is fun. Some people just re-roll, in either a dark bag or a dark room. They take 120 film and then put it onto a 620 spool. So you got options there. Got another mystery roll here that's not in the box. Let's check this out. More of the good stuff. Fuji Color Superior Extra 400. Again, you're not going to see fresh stock of this anymore because it's gone. And this is another 24 exposure roll. So again, kind of a highly sought after gem, since the fresh stuff of that is gone, I think probably forever, unfortunately. Got another roll of 120 here hiding on me. This is Fomapan. This one we haven't seen yet tonight, I don't believe. This is Fomapan 200 Creative, and this is in 120. So let's take a look on this. The expiration date, I believe, is 2022. It looks like March of 2022, so we're looking about 3 years old. Again, 200 speed film, black and white. So since it's not super high speed, since it's not color film, it should hold up pretty well. Might shoot this one maybe a little bit slower ISO, maybe something like a 125, something like that. Maybe 100, depending on the conditions. But Filmafan 200 is a film I don't know I think maybe I've shot it one time in 35 millimeter. I can guarantee I've never shot it in 120, so this one's a new one for me. I'm going to dig around here a little bit more. We have more of the aforementioned Ilford Pan F Plus. So again, from those nice sunny days, or if it's not too sunny and you don't mind lugging around a tripod. I'm not a big tripod guy, so I usually just wait for sunny days to shoot low speed film. And again, I was joking before about the dreary Ohio days, and it's going to be raining for the next 6 days in a row here, I think. But come summertime, great film, great film. And this is from August 2022. So again, not even 3 years expired. Low speed, being 50 speed, being black and white, that's going to shoot like new. I'll probably just shoot it at 50 and not mess around with adjusting the ISO at all. We got one that I think everybody here has probably shot before, probably multiple times. That is Ilford HP5 Plus. This is another, I mentioned before how Kodak Ultramax was kind of a workhorse color film. I think this would be the workhorse black and white film. And this just, again, it flat out works. And it's very adaptable. You can shoot in a lot of different situations, different conditions. This one expired October of 2022. So again, really not that old, not even 3 years old, 2.5 years old. So that's going to be good stuff there. Here's one that has definitely stood the test of time. Now it is 70 years old officially, and that is Kodak Tri-X 400, right? So this one expired in May of 2021. So again, this is another one that's a 24 exposure roll, which a lot of these are, which again, I kind of like that. And if you're like me, again, sometimes it's not a chore to get through 36, but it takes a minute. So it's kind of nice to have some slightly shorter rolls that you can get through without taking so much time or so much effort. Got another comment from Old Radio, said I already shot 620 with a Kodak Tourist from 1950, Tri-X that expired in 1969. 69 was a good year for being born. I happened to be born one day after Woodstock ended. Woodstock was from August 15th to the 18th. It was scheduled 15th or 17th, but because of weather and other weird stuff going on, because it was Woodstock, it went to the 18th. So I missed Woodstock by a day. So 1969, good year. Old Radio said he got some spooky results from that old film. Okay, this might be the most interesting film yet. And that's saying something after seeing all this stuff, right? Here's something you do not see every day. This is 220 film, folks. Not 120. This is 220. Perfect for my Pentax 6.7 because if you change the pressure plates and do a couple of settings on the camera, it will shoot 120 or 220. So the thing on 220 is, instead of getting just 10 shots in the Pentax 6.7, it's going to give me 20 shots. So I don't have to change my film nearly as often or half as often. This happens to be Portra 800. Portra 800 and 220 expired August of 2001. So again, being higher speed film, being color film, probably will not shoot this at 800. I'm going to overexpose it or shoot it at a different ISO, I should say. 400. Actually, probably maybe 200, maybe 125. I think 200 maybe might be about right. Some people like to use that one stop for every decade rule, and we're looking about 2.5 decades. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe 125. We'll see. I'll make that decision when I shoot it. But 220 film, I've got 1 or 2 rolls of 220 in my fridge that I bought expired from the World of Photography in Grandview a ways back. It was pretty cheap. I think it was like $10. I don't even remember what stock it is. I don't even remember if it's color or black and white. It's been a few years ago that I bought it. But I've never worked up the courage to shoot 220 yet. Now I got an excuse to do it. So awesome, unique film. I have never seen this in 220, so that is really something else. Fantastic. We got another mystery roll here. Portra 400, 36 exposures. So this one, again, just came in a loose canister like this. Portra 400, as the name implies, great, beautiful portrait film. Lovely tones with that one. And I am going to save that one for one of my portrait shoots I got coming up. So great film there. Got a couple comments, and again, on everybody's loving that 220, and I don't blame you. CBW says that they've been shooting Fobopan lately, developed with DF96, and it comes out decent. And again, we got those extra frames in the 220. CBW comments on that too. Unicorn there. Yeah, that is some interesting, unique stuff. All right. Howdy, it's David. Said before, maybe it's 200 rolls of Ektar. Well, we're catching up. We got at least 2 rolls of Ektar because we opened one before, and we got another one right here. This one is expired in May of 2019. So again, 5-6 years old, I guess, almost. This one, again, being 100 speed color negative film, since it's not that high of a speed, should shoot, I think, pretty well. So if I wanted to overexpose it, maybe a little bit, again, maybe shoot it at 80. I think that might be a reasonable place to start. Could shoot it at 64 because, again, Ektar does like light. And that one I'm going to wait for brighter conditions. I love shooting Ektar in the fall, though, too. So it's maybe not too bright, but when the foliage, the leaves turn in Ohio, this is my favorite film for that by far. And I shoot it pretty much every year in the fall. I shoot Ektar. But I know it shouldn't just be a seasonal film. I need to get out of my rut and shoot it a different time of the year. Wow. This is a roll of 36 Kodak Portra 800. This is worth its weight in gold. This is probably my #1 film when I get together for beers and cameras, which I'm going to do. Unfortunately, this makes me sick. I got to work this Saturday. They've got one coming up in Bowling Green, Ohio, which is only about 2 hours away from where I live. And I would love to go to it, but I can't get out of work. So, you know, you got to pay the bills, pay the mortgage. So I'm going to have to miss that one. But for events like beers and cameras or some of our indoor studio shoots, this is probably my go-to right here. Portra 800, great for portraits, great for indoor portraits, night portraits, that sort of thing. And again, I've shot it for stuff other than portraits, but when you've got Portra in the name, I mean, come on, you got to shoot portraits with it, right? This one again, May 22. Fantastic film along those lines. Got another one right here. And it looks like this one is similar lineage. This one says May of 2022. So coming up almost 3 years, not quite yet. Got to move my film around again. I've got so much here. Got another roll of Ektar 100. So we went from 800 speed film to Ektar 100. This one is also from May 2019, like the other roll was. And this one happens to be a 36 exposure roll, which Ektar, I think whenever I've shot Ektar, I think it's always been 36 exposure. I don't know if it was commonly available in 24s because, again, Kodak Professional, this is supposed to be one of the professional line films. And I think it probably leans a little bit more towards maybe the 36 exposure rolls, but fantastic stuff there. Going back to one I think we saw earlier, this is a roll of 400 T-Max from Kodak. This one, again, fresh stuff practically because this is from August of 2023. So not even 2 years expired. And as Tony confirmed before when he popped on with the comment, this has been refrigerated. So that's going to be beautiful. Again, world's sharpest, lovely, tight, nice, fine grain. I'll be shooting portraits with this too, no doubt. Another roll of the same stuff, that 400 T-Max there from Kodak. This one again from August 2023, so fresh stuff there. Got a couple more in the back here we're going to look at. This is the 100 speed. Now this is a 24 exposure roll, August of 2022, so 2.5 years-ish. And again, 24 exposure roll, the 100 speed, so a little brighter conditions, I'll probably use this. Or again, just suck it up and use my tripod, right? I've got 3 or 4 tripods sitting back in my messy studio here. I just need to quit being lazy and actually use them. And again, another one of these same things. This here we have a 100 T-Max. So same time frame, August 2022. Have another one here. This is August of 2023. This is the 400 T-Max version. So 400 speed. This happens to be a 36, so a little bit longer roll here. This is one I don't think we've seen yet tonight, and this is another one that is good stuff. This is Kodak Color Plus. This one, again, great color film, 200 speed, 24 exposure. This one expired in January of 2019, and this is one that does give you a little bit more of a kind of a retro vibe, more so than if you're using another film like Kodak Gold. I don't think it gives you as much of that retro vibe, but the Color Plus does. For a while, this was like the darling, and then and it was cheaper than a lot of the other films. And then I think it got kind of hard to find, at least depending where you're at. I remember Matt Murray talking about this film, and he lives in sunny Brisbane, Australia. And I think it's getting harder to find on there, if I recall him saying that recently. Old Radio says it seemed to find more 620 cameras than 120. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. And a lot of the 620s, they were very, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were very basic cameras. So if you find them now, they're probably still working because there wasn't a lot that could go wrong with them. That's particularly true. Like we've mentioned the Kodak series before, Kodak Brownies, like the Brownie Hawkeye, for example. I mean, there's one or two things on that, and that's it. It's a very basic camera. But again, less bells and whistles there are, the less things there are to go wrong. So that's not a bad thing, right? We've got Arista EDU 400 in the 100 speed. This is a 24 exposure roll. And this one happened to expire in June of 2021. So that'll be another good one to shoot. Black and white, love it. HP5 Plus, again, workhorse film. You do so much with this. This one's from October 2022. And this is a 36 exposure roll. Another roll of the Kodak Portra 800. Again, I'm going to save this for one of the Beers and Cameras events coming up. Got one coming up in June in Chicago. And one thing that's nice about Chicago's Beers and Cameras chapter, they are very active. They've been having events, honestly, lately, at least twice a month, sometimes even more. Sometimes we'll just have pop-up events, say, hey, guys, you want to get together? And people meet up kind of almost on a whim. But they've got a regular gig now, the first Friday of every month they're planning to do, and they've been doing that for a couple months now. And I am lucky enough to be joining them in June, the first Friday in June, whatever that date is, first Friday in June. I'm going to be in Chicago for the Beers and Cameras, and I'm going to sponsor a giveaway where I'm going to give away some cameras, and with Tony's blessing, maybe some of this film too. So I think people would really like that, and kind of try to pay it forward a little bit, right? But again, I'm going to take this to shoot at the Beers and Cameras event, because a lot of times, you know, at a tavern, obviously you're inside. Although in June, you know, sometimes they might be patios, stuff like that. But being inside, it's nice to have that extra speed. And again, I'm not going to lug around a tripod for something like that. So if I use a fast lens, like I have a 50 millimeter f1.4, so I don't have a 1.2, but 1.4 is still pretty good. And if you've got an 800 speed film with an f1.4 lens, that's going to go a long way towards capturing nice low light portraits. So perfect for that. I'm going to use this in June. And one I might also use in June, but not at that event, is Kodak Color Plus. This again is 200 speed film. This one expired again in January 2019, just like the other roll. 24 exposure. Again, nice retro vibe. This is a good one. I like shooting these at state and county fairs. It's great for that kind of stuff because it's nice to get in some of those old vintage carnival rides with a nice vintage retro feel of the Kodak Color Plus. So it's a great combo. I've done it a few times before. Along those lines, I'm going to hold up two of these at the same time, same expiration dates, more of that Color Plus. And it's been honestly too long since I've shot the Kodak Color Plus. So this is, again, a stock that's kind of an unsung hero. Good stuff. If you can find it, definitely worth shooting. So I got a couple more rolls of that. Fantastic. Now we got one here that is one that I don't think I've ever shot before. And I haven't said too much about this box because being in film photography for quite a while, I've shot a lot of different films. This is one I can't remember shooting this one before, and that is Ilford Delta 100, right? So this one is a 24 exposure roll. It looks like it expired in November of 2021, but again, being 100 speed, being black and white, probably hasn't degraded all that much. So this should be another winner. And this is one, honestly, I don't know why. I can't tell you why I haven't shot it before, other than maybe I'm just being lazy. So this is one I'm going to branch out, broaden my horizons, and shoot this. And Looks like we've got 2 rolls to shoot because here's another one right here. So this one again, same expiration date, November 2021, 24 exposure roll, Ilford Delta 100. This one I understand is going to be probably give me, some of those smoother tones, maybe along the lines of something like a T-Max 100, maybe the Acros 100 we talked about before, the Acros 2, which was in the box here. We got some more Ilford products here. This is Ilford HP5 Plus, October 2022. I've said this before, great workhorse film, just an all-around winner. Love that one. Got another roll of it right here from the same time from October 2022. So another great film there. Got more of the Kodak Tri-X 400. Again, just recently celebrated 70 years this past fall, a few months ago. And this one's from May of 2021. This happens to be a 24 exposure roll. More of that great summertime and fall film, the Ektar 100. This one, again, 36 exposure, being part of the professional line. Very commonly came or comes still to this day in 36 exposures. Beautiful saturation with this. Again, reds, oh, they just pop so much. If you find like a vintage red vehicle with this one, you can't beat it. It just pops those fall colors. Again, the leaves, especially you have red ones. Yellow ones too show up nice, but love the color rendition in this one. It's just kind of in your face, but in a good way. I mean, in a good way. We got another comment from Jim Graves. I'm going to pop up on the screen here. And it says he actually just now grabbed some of the Kodak Color Plus out of his fridge. Going to do some photo walks around town these next couple of days. And this might be a hot take, but Jim says Color Plus is the greatest color film ever made. And that is high praise. That is quite a claim. And I'm not saying he's wrong, because it is a really good, solid film. So let me know in the comments if you like that Color Plus, or if you disagree with Jim and want to have kind of a grudge match here, you tell me what you think the greatest color film ever made is. But yeah, maybe it's in the conversation. We got a bunch of film here. I see 4 of the same kind. I'm going to hold them all 4 up at the same time. This is Fomapan, and this is the 200 version. 4 rolls of this. These are 24 exposure rolls, and it looks like the expiration date is October of 2021. It looks like on all of these. So 4 rolls of that Fomapan 200. And again, I don't have a lot of experience with the Fomapan 200. I've shot a ton of the 400, but not the 200. So looking forward to that one too. Got some more film here. Again, I'm running out of film or place to put the film, and that's a good problem to have. We got some that are rubber banded together here. And this, wow, this is, if my math is correct here, 9 rolls of film banded together. This is Fuji film 400. I'm going to pull some of these out so you can see it better. So these are 3 of the 3 packs, and these are more recent. This is from, looks like 2023 on these. So 2023. So again, fairly recent film, Fujifilm 400. And if I'm looking closely at this, I got to do my homework here. This is Fujicolor Superior. This says right on here, Superior Extra. So this is not the Fuji 400 you're going to find at the store now, which is widely believed to be made by Kodak, if you look at the color curves and all that. And it hasn't been, I think, 100%, maybe identified as that. But the conventional wisdom is that the stuff you get at the stores now, well, we know it's not the Fuji Superior Extra. It is newer stock that is widely believed to be made by Kodak, maybe Ultramax, something like that, I think is the word on the street. So this is, again, the highly sought after good stuff. And this is fantastic. Again, can't say it enough, Tony. Thank you so much for this. This is really great film. And what's kind of funny is the old conventional wisdom used to be that with Fujifilm, you look at the color in the box, you see green everywhere. So Fuji has the reputation for being great with greens. Kodak has red and yellow on their box, like just this Color Plus I'll pick up, for example. You see red and yellow plastered everywhere. And Kodak has a reputation for maybe accentuating the reds and yellows. That's a big, gross oversimplification, but there's a little something to that too. So Fuji's great on greens, so lush forest scenes, stuff like that. You cannot go wrong with Fujifilm, especially the good stuff here, the Superior Extra. I shot a ton of this years ago, and I'm looking forward to shooting a ton of this again, thanks to the generosity of Tony again. Thanks again so much. Now we got a bunch more Fujifilm I'm going to pull out here. Man, we got one here. This is a 4-pack of, again, Superior Extra, the Extra 400. And this one, the box to me looks a little bit older. It is. So this one says November 2018. You can tell the branding looks a little bit different. But this, again, is the Superior Extra, the highly sought after one that most people can't find anymore, at least not new, because Fuji hasn't made it in a while. So these are 24 packs, 4 rolls of this. Again, can't wait to shoot that. And along those lines, we have more Fuji here. This one is, again, another pack. This one's from March of 2019, but this does in fact say in the fine print here, Superior Extra. So this is Fuji Superior Extra 400. So again, 24 exposure rolls. There's 4 of them from 2019. Great film. This one here, a little bit different change of pace here. We've got Fujifilm. This is 200. So this is the 200 speed version. This one is also from 2019. And this also happens to be 4 rolls of 24 exposure film. And then we have one more box here. That is Fujifilm Superior Extra 100 again. And this one is also from 2019. All right. Let me show you what's left in the box. We've been at this now for about 50 minutes, almost an hour here. Can you see that? Look at this. All this film was left in here. Let's shake it up and do something. I found something really different in here. This is, wow, you're going to love this one. This is from Lomography, and this is their Analog Quartet mixed film pack. And this has some really cool stuff in it. If you want to get a little bit more artsy-fartsy and experimental, you've got Lomochrome Metropolis, which is a film I love. I've shot a bunch of that. Lomochrome, or the Black and White Berlin, which I've shot Berlin before too. I made a video about it, or I'm in the process of making a video about it, but I haven't finished it yet. So that's on my to-do list, among other things. And he said we have, again, I'm going to pop this comment up on the screen here. It says, good morning from Brisbane, Australia, the home of my friend Matt Murray. So welcome from Australia. Morning for you, nighttime for me. Is coming up on almost 9:00 p.m. where I'm at in Ohio in the United States here in America. So thanks for joining in from sunny Australia. 2 more rolls in here. We got the Potsdam film, which again is another one I shot. I haven't made a video on it yet, but I really like the results with that one. And one that I've shot a ton of, which I've done a couple of videos on, which is the Lomochrome Purple, which is wild. If you haven't shot some of these films, I mean, they're a lot of fun. The purple is fun. The Lomochrome Turquoise is another one that is wild because skies can go just all kinds of orange and weird colors. And then you get crazy turquoise, obviously, because of the name. So if you've been afraid to try these, you just try them. And if people say, well, yeah, you can't take portraits of them, why not? I've done it. It's fun. So especially the Metropolis is not too crazy. It's kind of muted tones. Reds pop a little bit. Got a lot of grit and grain. Got a very good contrast with the Metropolis. But why not try something fun like the purple? So this is super cool. And these come in metal canisters too. Also nice touch. So really cool. We got some more stuff here. This is Kodak Portra 400. Big pack of it here. This one is from June of 2019. Again, that's 400 speed. So 6 years ago, roughly, not quite. So I may have overexposed a little bit being 400 speed color film. So maybe shoot it at maybe 200. That's probably good enough. I don't think I need to overexpose any more than that. Great film. And then we've got, again, another one here. This is Portra 160, and this one happens to be from 2019 also. So 2019, Portra 160, probably will shoot it overexposed, maybe 100, maybe 80. I think 80 might be good for this. So that should be enough to give me a little bit of a little more oomph, a little boost. So again, I just heard the FPP podcast today, and they were talking about Trev Lee was on there, and he said he quotes Matt Mirage. So it never hurts to give your film maybe a little bit more of a boost. So their expression was, when in doubt, blow it out. So it's okay to overexpose a little bit, especially when you got film that's a few years old like this one. Again, 160 speed. I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to shoot it at 50 or something like that. I think probably 80 is enough. Another roll of Tri-X classic film 2019. This is a 36 exposure roll. Another roll of Ektar. This one is again from 2019. 36 exposure roll, fantastic color film. We talked about it before. Along those lines, my favorite portrait film, the Kodak Portra 800. That one's going to come with me to Chicago as well. So I got a few rolls to take with me to Chicago for that Beers and Cameras in June. I'd love to make it to another one there. I'm thinking hopefully maybe I'll get there in September too. We'll see. But June I'm going for sure. So save it for that. We got more Fomapan. Look at this in 120. This is that 200 speed I mentioned before. This is not a film that I've shot much of at all. Again, I don't think I've ever shot it in 120 or medium format. If anything, maybe a stray roll in 35 millimeter. So a couple more rolls of this. And this one was expired in 2022, it looks like. So again, just a couple years old, fairly low speed, should shoot just fine, especially being cold stored in refrigeration like Tony mentioned before. Wow. Okay, this is some interesting stuff here. Look at this. Ektachrome, Kodak Ektachrome E100, 36 exposure. This one expired in 2020, so again, fairly recent. Slide film or reversal film, positive film. You really got to meter this stuff carefully, so you just don't want to kind of shoot it carelessly like I have a tendency to do a lot of my color negative films, because color negative films are pretty forgiving. A lot of black and white film, negative film in general is pretty forgiving, depending on the stock, depending on the speed and that sort of thing too. But this one, you really want to dial in on this one. So this one's, again, a few years old, not too bad. I'll probably overexpose this a little. Again, maybe 80, maybe 64, but I don't think I need to go any more than that. And look at this. Here's another one. Again, also from same time frame, so November of 2020. And this is a pretty fancy, expensive film. So again, pretty sought after. So Ektachrome, great. Love it. Love it. So I just, again, got to dial in. Now, we got, wow, we got a lot more stuff here. I've got another roll of Cinesto 800T. This one is from 2021 in 35. Of course, this is a 36 exposure roll, I do believe. That's how they package it. Yep. So again, looking forward to shooting that one at night, neons, maybe gas station. We'll see if I can find some good gas stations I haven't shot 100 times already. Another roll of Kodak Tri-X, 70-year-old, and this roll, of course, is not 70-year-old. This one is from 2019. 10:53 in the morning in Australia. So up and at 'em. And just another Chris, my buddy Chris, who I just did a podcast with, just another podcast with my man Chris. Chris shoots a ton of instant film. He is kind of the guy when it comes to instant film. And he said he's always wanted to kind of try some of that reversal film or slide film. And yeah, it's fun. And I'll tell you this, if you develop it yourself or get it developed by a lab and have them mount the slides, there's just something magic about putting slides on a light table and looking through them or looking at them. It is just super cool. So Chris, if you get the chance to shoot some slide film, go for it. Again, meter it as good as you can. But yeah, slide film is, if you haven't shot it before, it's a revelation. It is really super cool. I'm going to take a second here to move some of these tens and tens of rolls of film around here a little bit. We got another roll of, again, the Portra 800 in 35 millimeter. This one, again, is from May of 2022. 36 exposure roll. So that one might also make the trip to Chicago with me. Yeah, Chris says I want to frame it up with a backlight. Oh, even better. I mean, that would just be gorgeous. I just mentioned Portra 800. Look at this. That's a Pro Pack. Pro Pack of 120. This one, I'll see if I can find the expiration date. This was from January of 2022. And again, we got a bunch of rolls of this in that Pro Pack. So great stuff. This one I think I'm going to save for that Pentax 6.7 at nighttime. Not sure when I'll shoot it. But yeah, said I love this film. Favorite portrait film. Favorite portrait. And then we got its little brother here. Portra 400, right? Another Pro Pack here. So this one is from October 2018. So all that 120. So I've got a ton of 120 film here in addition to 35 millimeter. And we got another Pro Pack of that. Look at that. Same time frame, it looks like. Yep. So this was also from that same time frame as the other pack I just showed you. We got a few more here. I'm going to dig out and show you again. So another Pro Pack of Portra 400. Again, October 2020. So I am set for 120 film for probably the rest of my life. We'll see. I don't shoot a ton of 120, but man, I got a ton now. So that is fantastic. So again, great portrait film. And believe it or not, look at this. Another whole pack of this stuff. So again, same time frame, October 2020. So another bunch of rolls there. Got one a little bit different now. This is Portra 160. And this one is actually a little bit newer. This one's from May 2022. So this one's, again, another one that perfect for portraits. And it says right on here, for exceptional skin tones. And they're not kidding. Yeah, beautiful portrait film. A lot of people maybe sleep on the 160. You know, 800 gets a lot of love. 400 gets a lot of love for being pretty bulletproof. A lot of people, you know, say you can't go too wrong with that. But I guess we shouldn't sleep on the 160, right? So again, lower speed, but lower speed a lot of times will translate to maybe a little tighter, finer grain. And when you're shooting portraits, that's not a bad thing, right? So again, don't sleep on that Portra 160. It's good stuff. Got a couple more comments here I'm going to pull up. MS, let's see what they have to say. They said that they shot exactly one roll of the Ektar or E100. I'm sorry, Ektachrome. Turned out amazing in Nikon N80 and trusting the camera's light meter. Yeah, so here's another word in praise of those Nikon N series cameras. I've got a Nikon N65, and it is nothing fancy. I think it's probably maybe fairly analogous to the Canon Rebel series in that they're kind of, you know, a little bit plasticky. At least the N65 is. It's compact. N80 I think is a little bit different, but the N65 is compact. It's lightweight. It doesn't have, you know, a ton of bells and whistles, but just like the Canon Rebel series, it can be as you can treat it like a point and shoot in one sense. If you put it on program mode or automatic mode and just fire away. If you want to shoot an aperture priority, which I do a lot, you know, it's great for that too. Or if you want to shoot fully manual, guess what? You can do that too. And the same, I believe, is true of again that Nikon N65 and I think the N80 too. So maybe they don't get a lot of love, you know, like the Nikon FMs do. I'm not a huge Nikon guy. I shoot a lot more Canon, but I chose the Nikon N65 camera I shot it for an entire year for the Frugal Film Project, and I had a great experience with it. It really worked out well. And then we have another couple comments here I'm going to pull up before we wrap up the rest of this film here. Mark's Photo says, throw lots of light at Portra 800. I shoot my recent expired 800 at 400. And I have shot, when I shoot not expired or fairly fresh Portra 800, a lot of times I'll split the difference and shoot it at 640. And it's kind of like I said before, these Canon cameras, they got a lot of different ISO settings on them. So just like I shoot 400 speed film a lot of times at 320, I will shoot 800 speed films a lot of times at 640. And I've been happy with that. But if it's a little bit expired, you know, I think shooting at 400, like you mentioned there, I think that's a pretty reasonable approach. We got one more comment here from RD Bloomfield. It says 160 is great for softer tones compared to Ektar 100 during the summer months. And that makes sense too. So I haven't really shot it for that, but I think it's worth doing. It's a perfect segue, by the way. Look at this. Ektar 100 in 120 or medium format. How about that? Pro Pack again here. This one expired in August of 2022. And while we're at it, got another Pro Pack of the same stuff here. And this one is from July of 2020. So again, loaded up with Ektar. Great for those summer months when you've got some light out there, or again, just use a tripod. And if you use a tripod and shoot in the fall, really accentuates those fall colors. At least here in Ohio, we've got all four seasons represented, and sometimes all four seasons represented in the same day during certain times of the year. Although right now we're kind of a monsoon season. Like I said, it's gonna be raining for about the next week or so. And howdy, it's David piped in again. There it is, the Ektar. So you weren't too far off when you said 200 rolls of Ektar. If you tally this up, probably getting close. All right, I got a few more for you here, and then we'll see Yeah. Pro pack of the T-Max 400. This one is from October of 2023. So only like a year and a half out. So again, that should shoot very well. A lot of great options. This one again, probably Pentax 6.7, although this might look fun running it through a Holga, a Debonair, maybe a Diana. I've got a bunch of Diana cameras. I don't know if many of you shoot the plastic fantastic kind of lo-fi toy cameras in medium format, but the one that probably again gets slept on is the FPP Debonair. So that's when it natively shoots 6x645 is what it is. I like shooting the Holga 6x6, and Diana is a little bit smaller, but it's still square format. Got another one here that is T-Max 100, and this one is from July of 2021, another Pro Pack here. So bunch of film here again in medium format. This is the most medium format I've probably had in the house in my entire life or in any room. It's just the most 120 film I've seen, which again is great because I've got some nice 120 cameras, and this gives me the excuse to get out and start shooting them more, which I really need to anyway. So it's a perfect opportunity to do so. Jeremy says that the N80 is unique because it is compatible with all of the FX series lenses. And he mentioned here again that it looks like the F80 or the N80/F80, depending on your region, is pretty analogous to the Elan 7N, which I've had a lot of fun shooting here lately. I actually shot my 7NE over the weekend, actually. So I shot it just a little bit ago. And the 7NE, I have a 7NE and a 7N, and they're great cameras, a little bit more robust than the Rebel series of Canon cameras. But you bring up a good point there, Jeremy, about the lenses and the compatibility. I think one of the reasons I'm not as much of an Nikon guy is, quite honestly, I'm intimidated by the compatibility of their lenses. And then you get into AI, AIS, non-AI, blah, blah, blah. And there's... there's an art form to figuring out what lens goes with what camera. And I just don't think I have the patience to learn that. So with me, I've stuck to Canon mostly. Again, I have some Nikon cameras, which I really enjoy shooting, but I'm more of a Nikon guy because I know if it's an EF mount, I can switch between a bunch of different cameras and not worry about so much. And then some of my older Canons, of course, would be the FD mount, which was it was manual focus, not autofocus like the EOS that came along, like with the 650, and then all the Rebels and the Elans and all the and then the single digit ones like the Canon. I do have a EOS. I have the 3. I don't have the 1 and the 1B, and there's a bunch of them that are typically the lower the number is, the better cameras they are, the more professional they are. So I think the EOS 3 that I have is kind of a semi-professional, so it's a little bit more robust than, again, the Elan series, and much more so than the Rebels. But again, I keep going back to the Canon Rebels because they're super lightweight, very easy to carry around. If you're going to be shooting all day long or a long weekend or whatever it is, like when I go out to Chicago, as I mentioned before, in June, I'll probably go ahead and take at least one Rebel with me, and maybe one of the Elans, maybe the 7N, 7NE. I believe I have a Canon Elan 2 that I haven't shot in a long time either, so I might even bust that out. But yeah, if you can't tell already, I am kind of a Canon fanboy, I guess. All right, we got a few more packs to go through here. This is Fujifilm. This is special, and I've got 2 of them. I'm going to point these, or just hold them both up here. Look at this. Canon, or I'm sorry, the Fuji Pro 400H. Talk more about how Fuji has historically liked to discontinue stuff. A lot of people shed a tear over this one. This was some people's favorite color film. They just love this stuff for various reasons. And I've got 2 packs of it now, which again, Tony, I thank you so much for this. Because again, I know some of the stuff we're not going to see again, quite honestly. So the fact that you just thought to give it to me is just, it touches me. And I really appreciate that, Tony. Again, can't say enough. Expiration date on these, I can't tell when this is from. Oh, this one is from 2020. So January 2020. So that's actually pretty recent for a run of this 400H, because it's been gone for a while. So that was probably one of the more recent batches before they before they pulled the plug on this. But very good stuff. I've shot a couple rolls of this. Great experience with it, and now I've got some more to shoot. So again, very much appreciate that. We got a few more here. Again, I need another desk. Run out of room here. I got a bunch of single ones here that I'm gonna show you here. Another film I've not shot before, which again I don't say that often. Ilford Delta 400. So we got Delta 400 here, and this one is from April of 2019. So now we're looking at roughly just coming up on, looks like 6 years old right now in 2025, April. So again, I got no excuse not to shoot this now because I got a roll in my hand. So look forward to trying that out. Heard really good things. Some people love the Delta films. I've just, I've had such a good experience with HP 5 Plus, which is 400 speed, that I've never branched out and tried the Delta 400. And again, I know it's completely different look, different grain. So look forward to that. Jeremy just mentioned again that the Nikon lenses are confusing as heck, and I would second that as well. MS says I was shooting the N80 alongside my D800 8000E, 800E, and it was nice being able to use all the modern lenses on both. Yeah, it really is nice to kind of switch back and forth like that. I'll do that too with my Canon products because I have a Canon SL1, which I think is all of 12 megapixels. Yeah, it's not, it's an old camera. It's not, it might be a few more than that, maybe 18, I don't know. But it's an old camera. I've had it for years. And they've moved on to the SL2, SL3 by now, maybe even SL4, who knows. But still works. Shutter count is probably not that high because I don't shoot a ton of digital, but I use it for, again, I've had family members this year graduating high school, so I've shot pictures of them. So it's perfect for that. And again, to your point, I can swap the lenses from that to one of my Canon Rebels, to a Canon Elan, so my film bodies and my digital body take the same camera, so it's easy to switch back and forth, and I've done that a lot, actually. Got another roll of one of the first rolls we opened up here today, which is Ilford Pan F Plus. This, again, is that 50-speed film in 120 or medium format, and this one expired in August of 2021, so again, really relatively recent vintage. Got a few more single rolls here, and then we're going to wrap this up here. Another roll of the Ilford Delta 400. So this one, again, in 120, and this one's from October 2019. So now I got a couple rolls to play with, which is great in case I screw up the first one. There's a decent chance of that. Got a couple more single rolls here. More of the same. Look at that. So now I got 2 rolls to screw up and another one I can shoot. And this is the Ilford Delta 400 again. Same vintage, October 2019 in medium format. Looking forward to that. One more single roll. Another roll of that Delta 400. So again, I have absolutely no excuse not to try this stock. And if memory serves, I've got some of this now in the Delta 100 speed too. So going to be kind of cool to kind of compare the 100 speed to the 400 speed, see how they stack up, compare the grain structure and that sort of thing. So looking forward to trying all this Delta film. So it'll be a first for me. So again, new stuff, branching out, trying new things. All right, we're down to the wire here. We are almost done, folks. Look at this, got a few left. I'm going to hold these up. I think all 3 of them at the same time. This is, again, a classic. Maybe some people would argue the classic black and white film for documentary stuff, and just gives you that classic street photography look. Look at this. 3 Pro Packs of the Kodak Tri-X 400. So classic stuff here in medium format. And I think I've maybe only shot this once in medium. I've shot it, of course, in 35 millimeter, fair amount. I don't know, maybe once I've shot it in 120, and that's it. So now, again, I am stocked with the Kodak Tri-X 400, 70-year-old emulsion. These are not 70 years old. These are all from May, or expired in May of 2021. So not even quite 4 years old. 4 years old, or expiration next month. Got a couple more comments here from Jeremy, from MS, from Raphael again, and PD Tech. I'm going to pop a couple of these up here. Jeremy says, I love the Rebel TI because it has no rubber to go rotten and sticky. Yeah, that's a good point. So I got one of my, I believe it's the Canon Elan 7N came. It was all kind of sticky. So I did the rubbing alcohol kind of thing and went through a bunch of Q-tips and tissues and paper towels and a whole bunch of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, not booze. And made a big mess, but it did clear it up. And I've been using it ever since, and it's worked out well. Got another comment from MS. It says, just realized my name is just initials. Oh, it's Minson Sowers. Okay, I know you. Yeah. So I've been calling you MS, but now we'll put a face with the name. So thank you very much for joining in, old friend of ours here. Raphael says, I love the SL1. Me too. Like I said, doesn't get a lot of love. It's crop sensor. It's APS-C. Nothing fancy. Like I said, it's got a low megapixel count. At least by today's standards. Back in the day, it was pretty good. So nothing fancy, but you know what? It gets the job done. Got a couple more here. PD Tech says, I think my Canon EIS 500N or Rebel G is what I know here is my favorite film camera just because it was so cheap, and with the EF lens support, it's a big plus. Yeah, I would second that. Another big fan of the Canon Rebel G is our friend Lucy Lumen. So Lucy Lumen loves her Rebel G. She's done, I think, several videos on it and always speaks very well of it. And I do too. I will tell you, that one has a special place in my heart because the Canon Rebel G was my first Canon camera, number one. It's my first Canon EOS camera. It's my first autofocus SLR. So I did have an SLR before that. My boss, and this would have been 2009-ish, gave me his wife's Olympus OM2. And that was my first SLR, which at the time, it took me a minute to kind of figure it out because, it's at least at the time, it was not intuitive for me. And I, maybe back then was not as confident in things like, knowing my exposure triangle and, seeing how this setting affected this one, vice versa, manual focus, all that. So I picked up a Canon Rebel G in a bag with, it had at least one lens, maybe a couple lenses. So it came with a bag and everything. It was $35. It was marked $35 at the thrift store, but a lot of thrift stores, they have different colored tags, and depending on the day you go, it's like, oh, today's Tuesday, and all the blue tags are 50% off, and all the pink tags are 25% off, and all the orange tags are 75% off. So they run these different specials, different days of the week. It just happened to be that the day I was there it was at a thrift store in Grove City, Ohio, just a little bit south of me, and it was half off whatever that tag was. So instead of $35 for that camera, I paid $17.50, and that was for the camera, I believe 2 lenses, and a camera bag, which I used until just very recently. I had to throw that bag away because it was falling apart because I've had it for many, many years. So Canon Rebel G, I don't shoot it a lot now because I do like some of the slightly newer ones a little bit better, like the Canon Rebel TI, Canon Rebel T2. Those are probably 2 of my favorite ones I use the most of. They are a little bit newer. The only thing I don't like about the Canon Rebel G, and I don't know, maybe you can override this, I just haven't figured out how to do it, or haven't bothered to do it yet, is it has a focus assist beam on there, and it's kind of obnoxious. So it's one of those where if you, let's say you're shooting in a museum, which I have before with that particular camera, and unbeknownst to me, or I wasn't really maybe thinking about it, I would use that camera in low light and that beam would come on, and it just really draws attention to you. So if there's any negative at all about that camera, that's the only one I could think of, is that focus assist beam. If you're trying to be discreet, if you're in a low light setting and don't want to draw a lot of attention to yourself, it's a great way to draw attention to yourself, because that bright light goes off and it's kind of blinding, and it's again, it's just a little obnoxious. But other than that, very capable camera. Like the rest of the Rebel series, very lightweight, easy to carry around, fairly thin profile. If you take one of those Canon Rebel lens or Canon Rebel cameras, like the Canon Rebel G we just mentioned, that one is one that you can carry around all day, and it's not going to weight you down. If you pair it with the 40 millimeter f2.8 pancake lens, that thing is barely thicker than a lens cap. So that's one that is a great combo if you're walking around all day. A lot easier to carry around the Pentax 6.7 or really any medium format camera, or even a lot of other SLRs, because again, the Canon Rebel series, they're not metal mechanical beasts, so they might not hold up as well, although I've never really broken one that I can recall. But they're very lightweight, very compact, very easy to carry around. And then we have a comment from Sprout95, says the Delta is about like T-Max. Yeah, and that's, I've kind of heard that they have some similarities here. I'm going to pop up one here that I'm a little taken aback at. Jeremy has given me a super thanks here, and it says, need some rod now. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jared. It means a lot to me. So I'm biased, obviously, but I really do think I have the best viewers on YouTube here. A lot of my viewers and subscribers, if you're not subscribed, I welcome you to subscribe. Of course, it's free with your Google ID, but they're very engaged in the channel. I've got a lot of great feedback, and I've done a couple of lives, but the ones I've done before have just been showcasing a lot of the cameras in my collection, and they have been just the vertical ones I've done for my phone. This is the first time I've done it for my computer, and I'm using StreamYard. We can see because I'm too cheap to pay for the paid version. So you get the little watermark in the corner there, and it's a little bit more limited in what you can do, but again, people have been just even just tonight as an example, just the engagement here and just talking back and forth with everybody. I really appreciate it. But Jeremy, thank you so much. Again, heartfelt thanks goes out to you. I really appreciate your donation, and it means a lot to me. Along those lines, a huge thanks to Mr. Tony Blackwell. Again, Tony B 2760 here on YouTube. And just in closing here, I want to remind you that Tony did this out of the goodness of his heart. He was not here to promote anything. When he reached out, I said, "Oh, Tony, sure, I'll send me some film. I very much appreciate it. And if you want to, if you want me to promote something for you, it's like, well, I can, tell everybody your Instagram and direct them to all your YouTube stuff, and then." That wasn't what this was about. It's just, I mean, he truly just wanted to give back to me, and he said he's enjoyed watching my videos. He's got a comment now. I'm going to pop it up here and see what Tony has to say. It says, I watch quite a few film photography channels on YouTube, and your channel comes across as more about the enjoyment of shooting film. That is why I chose you to receive the film. I feel you deserve it. So thanks, Tony. Get a little choked up, but I appreciate that because there are a lot of channels here, and I think the thing I appreciate most about that is he said your channel comes across as more about the enjoyment of shooting film. And that is why I do this. That's why I'm here, and that's why I've continued to do this. I uploaded the first old camera guy video to this channel. It was, I remember the date, it was July 22nd of 2018. So here come this July, we're going to be at this 7 years, and I've uploaded a video. I've averaged once a week. I've got over 400 videos on the channel now. It's something like 409, 410 videos, something like that. So about once a week I've done this, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but it's average once a week. And that is the reason why I do it. It is about the enjoyment of shooting film. And there's one thing I'm not a fan of is gatekeeping, both in photography, in film photography specifically, but really in anything. I think if I, again, have amassed any so-called knowledge through the years of shooting film, I like to pass that along, and I like to, I just like to be an ambassador to film photographers that maybe are a little bit intimidated about trying it for the first time. I don't think you have to be, because again, it's something that I mentioned this on a podcast recently, that it's okay to take your photography seriously, I think, but I try not to take myself too seriously. And some people, I think, if you get too much into the technical side of things, which again, I don't fault anybody for doing that, because I find technical stuff interesting too. But I would urge people not to forget about just having fun, right? I mean, that's why we do this. Photography shouldn't stress you out. Now, having said that, I'm the biggest hypocrite because I get stressed out with photography all the time. Maybe not all the time, but I do sometimes. But I have to remind myself that this for me is a hobby. It's not my profession. I'm an optometrist by trade. That's what my day job is, and it has been for over 30 years now. But I do it for fun. And, if it's a different conversation, if you are a professional photographer, which again, I have never been, I've sold prints, I've done stuff, I've had shows, all that kind of stuff, but I would consider myself an amateur, or some people would use maybe the word hobbyist. I think maybe that applies to me. I don't know if there's a difference, but again, I appreciate that, Tony, because it is for me about the enjoyment of shooting film. It's not about being some kind of fancy influencer, because I obviously don't view myself like that. I'm obviously not, playing that role. But if I can encourage people, even just one person, to have fun with film, take it up, maybe occasionally answer the questions, because I do that sometimes when people engage with the channel, that to me is more what it's all about. So Tony, again, very much appreciated. Got a couple more comments before we sign off here. PD Tech, I'm going to try to pull that up, says, I'll be taking up a Canon Sure Shot Max, loading with some Kodak Ultramax for my next film photography adventure. Great shot, or great combo, point and shoot with some good workhorse color film. Love it. Howdy's Davis chiming in again. He was one of the first commenters here. He says, I love that perspective. Too many informationals and reviews out there or news on new product. I watch yours and feel the symbiosis of just loving the result of shooting film and doing it for the love. And I appreciate that, David. And again, you know, when new stuff comes out, I review it too sometimes, or sometimes I've been fortunate enough to get products ahead of release, or maybe prototypes, that sort of thing, or pre-production releases. And I'm happy to do so like that, because I like sharing stuff with people too, because you know, you're going to learn about it somehow. And, you know, if you learn it from me, well, I'm okay with that too. So I do occasionally do that kind of stuff, but it's not probably the focus of the channel. PD Tech, appreciate you. And Tony says, I can't remember when I started watching your channel, but you would know. Yeah. Tony Blackwell is a name I've known well on here, because like I said, he's popped up in here in the comments more times than I count. So again, I appreciate your support, Tony. Jeremy's again says, fantastic work, sir. Thanks for what you do here. And again, I appreciate you, Jeremy, for saying that. And thanks again for the super thanks tonight. Very much appreciated too. So again, thank you. And then we have a comment from Jim Orsetti, says, great for your channel and passion for shooting film, especially like seeing different film stocks. Yeah, I've shot a couple of new ones, or at least new to me, not really new stocks, but new to me ones. I just finished shooting a roll of street candy film. This one, I believe, is the ATM 400, which is traffic surveillance film, which if you like shooting, you know, silky smooth portraits on stocks like Fuji Acros and the T-Max or the Delta we talked before, you are not going to like that film. It is about the grainiest film. Well, I should say this. It's not the grainiest film I've shot. That would probably go to a 3200 speed film, right? But for a 400 speed film, it's pretty grainy. But again, that's kind of the whole point of it, is to get that grainy, gritty look. Again, it's surveillance film. And it was fun. So I'm hopefully going to have a video about that coming out soon. I've been fortunate enough, again, to shoot a lot, I mean, a ton of different film stocks in the past year or so. And again, I've been blessed to have some companies send me some film, some new stuff that's coming out, or maybe new to this market. The good folks out at Tuttle Cameras in Long Beach, California, have sent me several rolls of film. Dave Marshall, president of Flick Film, I was fortunate enough to meet him and talk with him back in September 2024 at a great meetup in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he's reached out and sent me some of this film, including that street candy I just mentioned. And the Aurora 400 just came out recently. The Aurora 800 that came out last year. So a lot of good stuff coming out of Flick Film. Some of these films are ones that it is not real obvious or evident what the origin or source of the film is, which I know rubs some people the wrong way. Some people really get worked up over, like, well, I want to know what this film is, who makes it, you know, all this stuff. And you know, transparent. I think there is something to be said for, you know, full transparency in all these different film stocks. But I also don't think I need to know everything either. If I know how to develop it, right? If it's black and white film, for example, I'd like to have guidance on how to develop it, whether it's on the massive dev chart or from the manufacturer. I just picked up some of the Jiangxi film from FPP, Mike Rosso and the gang over there. And he said it's not widely available in the U.S. market, or hasn't been before, so it's new stock. And my hunch on that one is it's probably made by Lucky, because it looks, I believe it is Chinese film. And in some of the copy on the website there, it says something like, it says, we're like lucky to try this out, in quotation marks. So I think it's a Lucky film. I don't know. But they did have, again, times on developing times. Of course, color film, C41 film, typically it's all the same development process, regardless of the film stock. But as everybody here knows, black and white film, that's different. So depending on your stock, you've got to know what time or what the development times are, and certain aspects of it. So as long as I know that, I don't have to necessarily know. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I like knowing details about films as much as I can. But if I can't dig out all the details, I'm not going to lose sleep over that either. I want to wrap up with, again, a couple more comments here. Back to RD Bloomfield, who was early on here today, says, I'm glad I found your channel as a fellow Ohioan based on the near west side of Cleveland. Fun to see where you go out to explore. Would love to meet up with you if you're ever in the Cleveland area. I don't get up to Cleveland that often, but when I do, I like to hit West Side Market, go to Steve's Euros and get a euro as big as your arm. So that's good stuff there. And I grew up near Akron, Ohio, a couple hours north of here, and a little bit south of Cleveland, but we were close enough to get lake effect snow. So shout out to my fellow Ohioans. Yeah, good deal. Hopefully I will make it up there again. We got a comment from Eric. Says, are you going to be at the Bowling Green Beers and Cameras event? Yeah, so the answer to that is I don't think I'm going to be able to swing that. I actually got that question from Trev Lee today on one of his Instagram posts. Happy anniversary, Trev, by the way. He's at his 8th wedding anniversary today, him and Anna. Got married on April Fool's Day. But, and I reached out, I said, hey, happy anniversary. He asked if I was going to be there. I got to work all day. I'm scheduled to work 9 to 5-ish. Takes about 2 hours to get up there. I don't always get out of work on time. So if I leave right at 5, get there at 7 o'clock, I think things are pretty much going to be over by then. If I leave at 5:30, get to 7:30, I pretty much missed everything. I think that's when things are wrapping up. They are doing a photo walk at 2 o'clock. And they did, they had free tickets for everything. I think the photo was 2 to 5, something like that. But Mike Rosser said on the FPP, on this podcast, that if you show up to the photo walk, I don't think you really need a ticket for that. But they are meeting at the brewery later, and that is going to be a limited space. So you probably do need a ticket for that, or they'll probably take that a little bit more seriously. But Eric, if you're going, I hope you can. I hope you have a good time. It doesn't look, barring some unforeseen miracle, I don't think I'm going to make it up there this time, but you can have a beer for me in my honor. David Weiss says, I always look forward to your film reviews. I agree with Tony that you are a positive force in the film community. Thank you, David. I try to be. I try to keep positive tone in here. There's been a few videos in here where I've had not excessively negative, but I've just had some, less than positive things to say about, certain aspects of film photography or certain specific stocks or whatever it is, or maybe a certain company. I'm not naming names here, but that's not typically what this channel is about. I try to, like the old song says, accentuate the positive. So the fact that you view this as a positive channel or positive force in the film community, again, means a lot, and I do appreciate that. Eric, yeah, it'd be nice to meet you too. But again, I don't think I'm going to swing it this time. But I will put a word out to a group that I'm involved with on Instagram. And when I say involved, I mean I just show up to events and that, so I don't plan anything with them. I'm certainly not an organizer, an admin. But there's a group called the Film Cipher on Instagram, and there's a group chat that I do participate in. And if you're in or around or not too far from Central Ohio, we have regular photo walks. We have studio meetings, sometimes studio sessions. We'll rent out a studio, that sort of thing. But a shout out to the Film Cipher, CYPHER, on Instagram. Check it out. And again, they'll post on there when we're going to have walks and that sort of thing. And, depending on the time of year, we can't always go outside because Ohio. But this time of year, it's starting to warm up a little bit. We've had a couple of walks that we had to cancel this past Sunday and the Sunday before just because of rain. It was kind of gross outside. But again, if you are anywhere near or have access to Central Ohio, that's a great way to meet up, is showing up to the Film Cipher. And if you're not too far from Chicago, again, I like to pop up in Chicago once or sometimes twice a year at the Beers and Cameras events there too. And I like to sponsor giveaways when I'm there. We have like little raffles, free tickets. I just hand out tickets and say, here's a chance to win a free camera. We call your number and then you win. So appreciate everybody's engagement tonight. Big shout out to Jeremy again for the super thanks. And just a huge heartfelt thanks to Mr. Tony Blackwell for making this all possible. Again, I'm truly touched and honestly a little bit overwhelmed by your generosity. So thanks again, Tony. Appreciate you, everybody out there watching. And until next time, do some good, have some fun, and shoot some film.